I think it's strange to me that XRP is in such a unique position and that the market hasn't kind of rewarded that.
Ripple and XRP are indeed very well positioned. And yesterday we did a longer video where we looked at a Wall Street Journal piece that was essentially citing the Treasury in regards to how stablecoins can further the might of the United States and actually potentially save off a debt crisis. So what we're going to be doing in this video is we're going to be bringing you some news in regards to Uphold paving the way for real USD. Now, Uphold are, of course, already partners with XRP and are working on ODL. And within the past 24 hours, we've seen Uphold delist a number of stablecoins because they don't apply with MiCA regulations. Now, we know that XRP, or I should say Ripple, is working with a number of banks within the EU to actually enable CBDCs, which Brad Garlinghouse himself essentially said is just stablecoins. So we have a rather interesting video lined up for you. Let's start things off with a quick recap of what we looked at yesterday. Now, yesterday we were looking at this piece from the Wall Street Journal, and the title of it was "Crypto Could Stave Off a US Debt Crisis." Now, they cite stablecoins as being backed by dollars and being the kind of hero in regards to this story of a unloved US debt system. Now, what they're really talking about here is the fact that stablecoins are often backed by treasuries, like what Tether does. And ultimately, with the rise of stablecoins and with the uptick in demand for them, as we see other countries and other countries' currencies really diminish against the US dollar and against everything generally, we're going to see an influx of people moving towards the US dollar, ultimately driving the demand for stablecoins, which is going to drive globally the demand for US debt at a time when we see the likes of China and many other countries out there dumping it. Now, there is a dilemma that the US faces in regards to who is going to be the enabler of this stablecoin. Are they going to allow a company that is outside the United States, like Tether, that they ultimately can't control and use to manipulate the world like they do with their Mag 7 stocks? Are they going to allow that to be the case? Well, my answer is no, and I think that Ripple is very uniquely positioned in regards to being the stablecoin issuer that essentially is going to look to stave off a US debt crisis and also further the US dollar's role around the world. It's very interesting that the SEC singled out Ripple out of thousands of companies out there. But I think that this was all planned, and I would argue or certainly take a punt on the fact that you'd have had a lot of large players accumulating during this sideways price action for XRP. Remember, the only reason we're highlighting XRP at this current moment is because of the technical significance of the chart and where it's currently at. We've highlighted this previously. We're going to be doing a longer video on it towards the end of the week, because we also have an individual from the German stock exchange essentially looking at the same thing that we're looking at and pointing to a similar kind of result. My real hunch is that a lot of this has a lot to do with the US stablecoin, real USD, and Ripple ultimately becoming favored by the United States government to actually further the United States' agenda, just like they do with Facebook, Microsoft, Apple, Google. Why is the US the most powerful country in the world? Well, it's because it's got these sort of names within it, and ultimately they get a real kind of reach as a result of it. Let's now dive over to a Cointelegraph article that looks at what Uphold recently did. So yesterday, just to quickly segue, we did look at the likes of USDT dominance, which is the predominant stablecoin out there, USDC dominance, and we essentially looked at how we expect this to fall dramatically. And there's two reasons we think this is going to be the case. One, because we're in a bull market, and two, because ultimately there's going to be a competitor to USDT that's going to eat its market share up. And I think that's going to be what Ripple are looking to do with real USD. Just the name real USD, I think, says quite a lot. But let's dive back over to this article, because this literally came out 5 hours ago. Now, we've been talking about the significance of Ripple's stablecoin before the Wall Street Journal had ever mentioned it, and before many of other people had kind of cottoned on to actually the significance of stablecoins in the world that we're moving towards, and actually how stablecoins can be almost of the utmost importance to the United States. So, Uphold to delist USDT and 5 stablecoins by July the 1st, citing MiCA regulation. So apart from Uphold, other major crypto exchanges, including Binance, I believe still the world's largest cryptocurrency exchange, Kraken and OKX also tweaked their stablecoin listing process to comply with MiCA regulations. Cryptocurrency exchange Uphold has sent a notice to its European users informing them that the platform will end support for 6 popular stablecoins from July the 1st. Uphold says it is delisting the stablecoins to align with the European Union's market in crypto asset regulations, MiCA. The 6 stablecoins are Tether, DAO, which of course is MakerDAO's, Frax Protocol, Gemini Dollar, Pax Dollar, and True USD. Users who hold these stablecoins must convert them to different cryptocurrencies before June the 28th, after which the cryptocurrency exchange will automatically convert them into USD coin, which of course is USDC. So again, USDC, another US company. I think they're both going to do quite well in what's to come. Obviously, Ripple with real USD and USDC. And there's going to be a favorite. You know, if you have one that the United States government is kind of almost behind a little bit, perhaps indirectly, you're going to go with that one. So MiCA was passed into law on May 2023 and went into partial effect on June 2023. The extensive EU crypto law are expected to come into full force by the end of 2024. And of course, this was what Uphold essentially released. We can't see that very broadly, so we'll leave it as it is. It says, "Hi Savannah. Owing to the new European Union rules on stablecoins, we will no longer support the following assets from July the 1st, 2024. DAI, Frax, GUSD, USDP, TUSD, and USDT. We'll continue supporting USDC, EuroC, and PYUSDC, which is PayPal's US dollar, going forward. We kindly request that you convert your holdings before," and it gives a time on June the 27th, so basically 1 minute before midnight, June 27th, going into the 28th of June. If you're too busy or forget to convert, don't worry, we'll automatically exchange your holdings into USDC on June the 28th, 2024. Kind regards, team at Uphold. So it goes on to talk about the new stablecoin regulation. But ultimately, this is all about making sure that the right players are in the right place and making sure that a company outside of the reach of the euro, the European Union, and the United States doesn't succeed. That's what this is going to be about. Whether you like it or not, they are going to pick losers in this technological advancement. And going back to why we played that clip of Brad Garlinghouse talking about how Ripple and XRP is uniquely positioned and the market just hasn't realized it yet. We realize it. That's why we're making a lot of this content. We know also that Ripple are a partner of Uphold. So if we dive in here, Ripple team up with Uphold to bolster cross-border payment infrastructure. So they're very well positioned in regards to actually eating the dinner that has been left on the plate from the Uphold delisting. And of course, yesterday we did look at USDT dominance and how we expect this to fall down to 1.3% from a current 4.9%. And we also looked at USDC dominance, which I am also bearish on. So that means there's going to be the rise of a new stablecoin. And when you look at where Ripple is, I believe it is ultimately going to be real USD, which is ultimately going to have repercussions for XRP. And again, I just want to highlight the fact that we aren't somebody that's been covering mindlessly XRP and Ripple. We're only highlighting it because of the technical significance that we see in the chart. The fact that we think you're going to see a similar kind of move to what you saw in 2017. I don't think it's going to be to the same percentage, by the way, guys. I'm sorry to disappoint anyone, but I think it's still going to do well. We will do a longer video on that in regards to what the guy from the German Stock Exchange had to say. The last thing I want to live and leave you on is Ripple's also unique positioning in regards to working with many banks out there. So let's dive into this clip of Brad Garlinghouse talking about how they're already working with 10 governments around the world on CBDCs, which he refers to as basically stable coins.
That is, Ripple has invested and is working with about 10 different governments around the world to do central bank digital currencies. I mean, a central bank digital currency is a stable coin. It's just issued by the government.
So I want to know your thoughts, ladies and gentlemen, in the comment section. Do you think we're onto the right track here in regards to the role that we're envisioning Ripple playing? And is there some sort of credibility here? Because right now, a lot of it's hearsay. We're following kind of breadcrumbs, but I think a lot of things are adding up. And ultimately, for me, there's a very high likelihood that the US are going to adopt Ripple in the name of what Biden's executive order back in 2013 had said, which is maintaining the US's dominance in regards to innovation and technology. And ultimately, we know that we are moving towards digital dollars. I think Ripple are well positioned to help transition. Certainly, if the anti-CBDC surveillance law goes any further than it already has, because it would essentially take away from government the right to do this, and also the Fed. And there is a real concern in regards to the debt burden within the United States and the continued purchasing of that, as we see a number of countries out there, certainly within the BRICS nations, move away from it. However, with the introduction of a stable coin, which would be backed by treasuries partly, if we see a demand for it, and there's a high reason, certainly when you look at the state of other countries' currencies out there, to suspect that actually there's going to be quite a high demand for a stablecoin, which is going to mean a high demand for treasuries. You're kind of almost democratizing treasuries. You know, before it was kind of more institutional country governments that used to buy treasuries. Now it's going to be everyday people indirectly, perhaps through stablecoins. I think it's a very interesting paradigm. So that's it from me, ladies and gentlemen. The last thing for me to do is thank you guys. Yesterday we had the most watched XRP video on YouTube in the past 24 hours. That's only possible from you guys. That's why we're covering it again today. Really to say thank you. We will do a video towards the end of the week talking about it from a price point of view and what the guy from the German stock exchange said. On that note, I'm going to love and leave you. Thanks a lot for watching, ladies and gentlemen. I will see you all in the next one.